Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you may be across the nation or around the world. Once again, you are listening to the VMware Communities Roundtable Podcast. This is podcast number 673. My name is Eric Nilsson, and with me today, Corey Romero will be my co-host. He's joining us at 12:30. Today is Wednesday, December 13th, 2023. Got a good show for you today. We're going to be talking about VMware Cloud Foundation 5.0, unlocking the scalability and efficiency with Girish Manmadkar. I'll let him tell me how you say his last name as always. But before we get to Girish, let's talk a little bit about what's happening at /VMware/Broadcom. So it is a beautiful sunny day here in California. We've got some warm weather happening. It's like nice in the 70s. The sun in Silicon Valley is out. I think we're getting a little bit of late winter. So I'm excited about that. We're all back on campus. I'm super excited about that. I'm in the podcast studio. If you watch us over on youtube.com/vbarbecue, you'll see that I'm back in the podcast studio and we're all on campus. And in fact, even though we are doing this through video camera, Girish is actually down in Creekside as well. So one of these days we'll get everybody back in the podcast room doing it live. So excited to be back on campus, excited to see everybody again. I have seen a lot of people in Palo Alto and, in the home office, and the place is buzzing, which I got to say is such a different feel from what it has been over the last 2 years. I feel like we've all been freed as well because we were under this banner of, oh, do we have jobs? Do we know what's going to happen? Broadcom's taking over. And now we're here. A lot of people are here. A lot of people, unfortunately aren't here, but a lot of people are. And the energy is just back on campus, which I got to say is a lot of fun. I like what's happening with the products. We'll talk about Cloud Foundation here today. There's a lot of buzz around Cloud Foundation. And then there's a lot of buzz about events scheduled next year that's coming up. And we're starting to have team meetings. Corey's over having a team meeting with the events team. We're going to be talking about Explore and what's happening with Explore and the 3 different geos. So we're excited about that. Coming into the beginning of the year, where we, kick off January, where we get ready for all the things that are happening, product announcements, Explore, commitments, everything is buzzing. And I'm actually excited that the cloud of not being owned by somebody has just drifted away and the sun has come out. And I think the color of the bay is kind of turquoise blue, at least virtually in my mind, it's turquoise blue. It's obviously a dark green because it is winter in California. But what I feel coming into the Broadcom times now is that we're back in the game. There's a lot of buzz going on, and I think we've always been in the game, but there's always just been this cloud of what does the deal mean? What does community mean? I spent all last week with VMUG in Tennessee. We're planning up for next year. VMUG had a nice year. We hit all our budget targets, so VMUG is in much better shape. Thanks to everyone out there that bought your VMUG Advantage. The VMUG Advantage is like $200 that goes to the community, right? That helps fund VMUG. I was talking about power systems, right? And, my brother works at Siemens worrying about power on the grid. And there is a base load, the concept of a base load where you're always putting power up on the grid to run hospitals and run all the stuff. Most of you know what base load power is. And for us, VMUG Advantage, for all those people that bought VMUG Advantage this year, it ends up being the VMUG base load. It is the way that 50% of the VMUG budget gets funded, right? By you guys doing your home labs, getting the discounts at Explore, getting all your licenses, all from just $185 purchase a year. They have auto renewal now, so if you're a good community member, you can just sign up for that. It'll auto renew, and really that is baseload. That's nearly 50% of the whole budget. And instead of needing to go get so many sponsors to run things at the user cons and at community members. Now, because Advantage is doing well, and a lot of you have gotten into the mode of renewing your Advantage licenses for the year and spending that $185, it really does allow community to seep back in to not only the user cons, but actually the local chapter meetings. And we're actually working on a way to give chapter meetings money through part of the budget that we collect. So I can see that happening next year. So I feel like community is stronger than ever with regard to VMUG, all the activities that we're doing. Broadcom loves community as well. We're seeing a lot of community integration. I think we'll see some of the Symantec stuff and the CA stuff kind of roll in. So a lot of moving parts now where I'm really excited about. So that's kind of the news update. Stay tuned for announcements on what we're doing next year for all the events. Stay tuned for code announcements. We got the Slack channels back up and running. We're happy about that. We're the blogger program looks good. We're teaching some of the new marketing people that have moved into the corporate marketing function about how we do things and why there's so much energy behind the community, which all these people from Broadcom are pretty exciting people as well. So all in all, good people. I really like all of them. And there's just a lot of momentum and a lot of excitement around the products. And what a better way to introduce Girish on the community podcast, because VMware Cloud Foundation has 5.0 out, and I believe that VMware Cloud Foundation is going to be the way we go to market going forward in a lot of ways. So I'm excited about that as well. So Girish, welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the show. We always start, introduce yourself, tell me how you say your last name, and then what your title is, and what's your career arc look like. Tell the community who you are and how you got here.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity. Uh, Again, as I said, my name is called as Girish Manmadkar. So I have 9 characters in my last name. I split them into 3. Becomes easy. Man, Mad, Kar.
Oh,
Uh,
nice. Manmadkar. Got it.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
all right.
Easy to pronounce, right?
Right.
Uh, well, I think this is my 17th year with VMware by Broadcom. I started to really represent technical account manager program. So if you are a TAM technical account manager out there, uh, I was hired to represent that TAM program in the Palo Alto headquarters way back in 2007. uh, I was lucky to really, uh, work with a lot of global customers and my accounts, and essentially drive various aspects of back then vSphere and vCenter Server and SRM, uh, and also kind of bringing in a lot of you as a customer's requirements in front of my product management team members and drive new features capabilities in the ESXi back then. And done that for about 3 4 years, and then everyone within VMware started talking about we should really virtualize all the applications on vSphere. And guess what? Next door back then was SAP. It's still there, right? So Paul Meritz, our CEO back then, was saying we should virtualize SAP, our next door good partner. And I
Sure.
had done a lot of work in my previous life on SAP at the infrastructure level, at the data center level, at the SAP basis level, right? So I kind of looked at, and then I kind of explored an opportunity within VMware into a consulting. So I became consulting architect. If you Google my name, you will find some old blogs, video blogs talking about business critical applications. One of the focus has been always SAP, Oracle ERP. Back then it used to be PeopleSoft, Siebel, and you name a database that I have worked on. So I think I wanted to leverage my experience. And guess what? VMware has been really, really nice environment. They say, okay, let us form a business critical application practice. And I was leading that practice, about 15 people globally. And we were driving adoption of our technology on these applications. So went to a few of the customers with SAP, and customer said, you know what? If you virtualize and meet me my performance requirements, you can essentially virtualize everything into a data center. So that was really a good way of really setting the limit experience altogether and drive more adoption of vSphere back then into a data center. So done that for about, until we came up with a term called as software defined data center, SDDC, that everyone is now aware of, right? After acquisition of Nicira, coming up with the vSAN, so everything becomes software defined data center. So in that whole frame of SDDC, BCA, business critical applications, kind of became a small portion, but critical portion in any given data center. So automatically, I rolled into the practice, kind of driving large, multi-year, work stream projects as an enterprise architect, still part of PSO. And then, essentially, while working with customers, customers said, "Hey, actually, you know what? We don't know if you have architected it correctly because of your knowledge, or we have architected it with our knowledge. Is everything all right?" And that's where VMware validated design kind of popped up in the market as a documented guidance to make sure that SDDC is well architected. Again, customer said, it still takes me about 2.5 weeks to deploy everything in the stack. It's just a configuration that you have to go through. Then they said, why don't you automate it? And that's where VCF was born. And I was lucky enough to provide back then a DR solution to the engineering team for VCF. And then they said, why don't you help us out on launching few of the customers and providers on VCF? I said, okay, I'll do it. And that's how I got into the BU and started working as an engineering architect, focusing solely on VCF along with VVD team. Uh, Part of that was basically not only doing uh, what customers are looking for, seeking their feedback, making sure that we bring that into the engineering and product management and fine tune the VCF. When we started, VCF was controlling top of the rack switches and had more controlled prescription, but that didn't work well globally. Through my experience going globally in regions like APJ, EMEA, I was able to capture the feedback that we need some more relaxing the prescription. And basically, leadership took a decision to relax, move away from prescription that we don't own. For example, top of the rack switches, we don't own them, so why should we prescribe them? So we kind of focused on what we then call as a BYON, bring your own networking, and we just focus on software stack. And that's how basically VCF 3.0 onwards changes were done. And now where we are at 5.1. A lot of good days have been taken place, and we'll talk more about it. So that's my overall journey from last 2.5 years. I've been fortunate to lead and drive new solutions, definitely powered by VCF, work with a lot of providers, and you will hear them as I speak and talk about it, what else that you can do with VCF. With the
Yeah.
Broadcom taking over, I think we have more opportunity to scale our business because we are going from 1800 SKUs to just one single SKU of VCF. We want to bring more and more simplicity, not only
Yeah.
from the product perspective, but also from the consumption perspective. You as a customer, you as a provider, how easy that you want to transact and get the software going into
Yeah.
your data center.
So let me back up a bit and just comment a little bit about your career arc, because the first thing I found, which was great to hear, is that I think me and you have been here the same number of years, because I believe I started in 2007 as well. Might have been the edge of 2006. Do you remember? Did you get to go to VMworld, and do you remember where you went your very first VMworld?
Absolutely. I think I joined in October of 2007, and I was supposed to be in India for my family function. My manager said, you just join, you go, but make sure that you are back in town in San Francisco. That was my first VMworld in 2008 of, I think it was
All right.
January. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's right. We did have them in January for a year or two. I remember that. So I must have started a year earlier, or maybe, yeah, I think a year earlier, because in 2006 we had it in LA, right? And so
Hmm.
it was my first week joining in 2006, and I ended up. They said, "Hey, go down to VMworld. You got to check this out." And it was in LA, and they shared hotel rooms, so we did a shared hotel room thing. So but me and you started very, very similar years, 2006, 2007. It was a really fun time. I remember when we were doing our app certifications, like you said, like get SAP certified, because in the early days the only thing we really certified is storage, right? EMC storage was the one thing we certified, and everybody else had to just deal with making apps run, right? And then
Yeah.
I remember when we said, okay, now let's get in and let's certify the apps as well. So cool stories, and cool hearing you talk about your journey back in those days. And I remember also we built the I don't remember, it was like a store where you could come in and get bundled VMDKs that had the apps configured in them as well. So we did a lot of crazy stuff back in the old days, which
Yeah.
was fun to kind of penetrate the market, because not everybody believed that you could actually run a workload on top of virtualized environment, right? It was a
Mhm.
foreign thing. So I remember that getting those certs was, and the hardware certification guide along with the application certs on top of it was like really important.
Yeah, yeah. In fact, ACP HANA was a new thing in the market, and again, I was fortunate to be the first and only one VMware employee as an SAP certified, going with and working with SAP in the field actually. So yeah, a lot of certification, a lot of work, a lot of fine tuning, a lot of feedback, a lot of improvements at the vSphere level, vCenter server level, helping product improve and making sure that we are able to showcase customers that hey, you can run your business critical application or applications on this platform without any issues.
Right. So getting now back to the current day and VMware Cloud Foundation, I do find it really kind of interesting that, we, if you look at our journey around products, we did kind of go crazy, right? In the number of different SKUs that we've had, and the number of products that we've kind of folded in, and business units that we had. And, we had this vSAN business unit with a vSAN marketing team. And, like then it kind of folded, like if you look at the history of us trying to figure out how to name products and how to bundle products, it's been all over the map, right? And
Yeah.
it has been then historically, legacy wise, kind of confusing for customers, because then you got some customers that have to kind of figure out what to buy. And I look at VMware Cloud Foundation as kind of like when Apple just decided to bundle everything on their OS. Now, like pretty soon they just collapse it all, and it's just all on your iPhone. It's all there. You don't
Yeah.
really. It's just because and and as storage has doubled and tripled, the fact that you've got this stuff available to you, whether you use it or not, it's all integrated, and I don't have to try to figure out how to grab the next piece, purchase the next piece. It's just like Cloud Foundation, it's all there. So so for the newbie that hasn't really used Cloud Foundation, I think it's basically vSphere, NSX, and vSAN all bundled together. Are there other things there that then we could talk about before we get into what 5.0 has to offer that's
Yeah.
new? Maybe,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a good way to start at the base. Essentially, as you said, it's a solution. It is not just a bundling of multiple products from a SKU perspective, from transaction perspective, right? So it is a product, a set of products consuming storage. You need it. Hypervisor, you need it. Networking, you definitely need it. So it's a combination of these three core products, and vCenter Server, of course, is required to manage and maintain all your infrastructure. So it is uh, well architected, designed, automated in terms of building your management stack. For anything that you do in virtualized world, you got to have a control plane. So what we say that to deploy my ESXi, deploy my vSAN cluster, deploy my NSX, I need to have a process. I need to make sure that everything is defined correctly, everything is designed correctly, everything is defined properly. So we have a process, what we call, and if you are familiar with VCF, we call that process as a bring up process. So I am bringing up my management stack, what we call it as a management domain, based on vSAN as a mandatory storage, as a primary storage. It takes about, after you finish all the requirements, do all the checks and balances, it takes about an hour and a half, depending on the host and this and the storage that you have at your disposal. But it's fairly straightforward, forward, unattended process that you will see it completing to finish bring up process.
Nice. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. The onboarding, this the bringing up. I've I've heard people say that, like they were in the process of considering it, and then I hear that they're doing it. It seems like it's like a step up where you have to kind of make a commitment to go VCF, right? Like that there's when you're first using vSphere, it's just an easy thing to do. You're using vCenter. Then as you choose to go VMware Cloud Foundation, you really are diving into the whole stack where you're going to probably use NSX. You might not use vSAN, but you're going to, start heading down that direction. Do you feel like you guys are making penetration in the market for getting people up to speed, like our A plus customers, and then the second tier customers to start understanding how to just buy into the fabric? And then does the cloud migrate or the cloud connection also help that? Because if you have some cloud and you're putting VCF out in the cloud, then you have multi-cloud. Does that help also? Where are we on the journey from a customer perspective of choosing to go VMware Cloud Foundation?
Absolutely, I think that's really good way to move into the next topic that I had in my mind is uh, a lot of customers, right? I think that I have seen, and probably you have seen as well, that they really say that it's all about time to market. How quickly I can get my things up in my data center, hand off the keys to my business to run the business and start making money, right? That's a mantra. Where is the easy button? Your easy button is Cloud Foundation. Can you do it manually? Yes, you can do it manually, but we don't know how much time it's going to take you. Do you have those expertise? Do you have those SMEs? And how can you maintain and manage it? Bringing up a stack with the right design is just one part of it, which is minuscule. You can have Ansible, you can write Python scripts, whatever you want, and you can deploy the products based on the best practices. No brainer. You can do it. But the beauty of Cloud Foundation, number one, is providing you an ability to perform various day two operations. You talk about this stack, right? Brings a complexity, but the automation that we are delivering makes it more easy and simple, right? Next
Right.
thing, if you have to connect or if you want to have a hybrid cloud model for whatever reason, could be some services that you want to acquire from GCP or AVS or even from Ali Cloud. All these providers, all these hyperscalers, even IBM Cloud has recently relaunched VCF as a service also. So there is no change from your operations point of view whether you go to all these cloud endpoints. It is based off of VCF core architecture, core SDDC architecture. So consuming those services through this VMware Cloud Foundation on-prem as well as onto those cloud endpoints is the same thing. So you don't need to worry about training your team members just because you want to consume some services from a public cloud service provider, right? And I'll talk more about what are the goodies that it has on the day two perspective. But these are the key initiatives and also a lot of solutions. If you look at it, you as an enterprise customer, you are not talking about a product to your businesses. You are talking about a service that you are delivering it to your business. So essentially, you as an enterprise IT shop are a cloud provider to your business, right?
Right.
And we
Right.
have a very large, strong cloud provider. We call them as a cloud service provider or cloud solutions provider, CSPs. A vast footprint across the globe gives you more of those services locally. Take an example, you are in Europe or you are in APJ. Due to the Cloud Act, everyone is focusing on putting their lens on sovereign cloud. This gives you an ability to also deliver various sovereign cloud type of services in an on-prem or maybe a provider which is local to your data sovereignty that you can keep, data locality that you can keep.
Yeah, that's impressive in that if you have local providers and you want to keep your data in country, standardizing on VCF just gets you that because many of the providers, yeah, to your point, have VCF, and so you can connect those and decide how much consumption you want to use of cloud providers versus how much do you want to be a cloud provider yourself on prem, right? So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
perfect.
So let me do a double click on a day two operations, right? Typically, day two operations that you would perform are typically like patching, upgrade. Upgrades could be vSphere specific, vSAN specific, NSX specific. You go with the ARIA product suites on top of it, ARIA operations, ARIA automation, or you may have a VMware Cloud Director if you are a CSP, which brings a multi-tenancy to you. That gives you a real complexity about, oh, you know what? How do I do it? Which one goes first? What is my sequence? Do I got it right? Or do I need to go to the compatibility list and check which version that I'm running, which build I'm running? Is that compatible to the stack that I'm running on top of vSphere? All those questions, all that preparation work takes time. You will have your team members really running this thing into your lab environment, in your non-production environment, and then basically bring it to the production. So I have seen a customer, large financial customer in the US. They have one team doing upgrades continuously because their environment is so big. The team is just rolling out upgrades one by one. And there is a team will look at the newer products that have been released by VMware and the other third-party ecosystem like backup, right? And so on and so forth type of monitoring if they have something else. So they have to make sure that all the bells and whistles on top of this platform are tested, validated, and then handed off to the operations. That has gone now. You don't need to worry about it. Definitely, we would recommend you to do a testing, but a part that we own, software stack that we own, we are making sure that we have a clarity understanding of those dependencies of each and every product, and then we ship you a bundle, right? So when you perform a bring up will also deploy an automation engine called as SDDC Manager. So once Cloud Builder performs bring up, I don't need Cloud Builder. SDDC Manager will own everything as a VCF and say, okay, I'm aware of how it is deployed, how many hosts you have, how many workload domains you have, and so on and so forth. So that interface will give you an indication if it is connected to the depot.vmware.com for a upgrade or a patch. You click on it, you want to download now, you can download now, and then after that you can say you want to upgrade the environment. So that bundle maybe comprises of patches or upgrades of vSphere plus vSAN plus maybe NSX or just NSX. We do all the testing validation and then we ship you a bundle, which means that when you download, you can schedule it. You can say, hey, you know what, I would like to run this upgrade because it's a rolling upgrade. Your workloads are not impacted, right? So you can schedule it
Right.
and then
Right.
essentially don't need to worry about babysitting that process.
Yeah, I can see that. Makes sense. And also, if you're considering your IT footprint is competing against the cloud on-prem, right? Making it easy, making it manageable, making it so that you as an IT guy don't have to spend as much time up front doing all that testing, so that your on-prem delivery of services, can be, economically more efficient than even moving workloads to the cloud, right? That in fact, there will be workloads that always stay on prem. And the fact that VCF makes it simpler, quicker, easier means that you're spending less time on it. It's just more efficient, right? And
Exactly.
efficiency is the name of the game, I would assume, especially when you're competing against cloud, right? And trying to determine where workloads need to go. Having an efficient VCF makes sense. Just totally. I get it. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think the next thing about this, when I'm performing an upgrade and I have multiple clusters, Until 5.0, we were serial. So you do management domain first, and then do workload domain one, cluster one, then two and three and four. We were sequential.
Okay.
Now we are in 5.0 or 5.1 onwards, more parallel. What does it mean? That I have three workload domains, each workload domain has three tree clusters. Can I go parallel? Absolutely. You can go parallel saying that, hey, in this particular workload domain, this cluster I want to upgrade, not other two. But the second workload domain, I have three clusters I want to upgrade at the same time. That parallelism of add a host, remove a host, upgrade cluster, upgrade workload domain, all those things can go parallel.
Was that
That's
demanded? Was that demanded by customers? Did customers really want to parallelize the process by cluster? Like, is that
yeah,
something they want to do?
yeah. It was also large customers as well as the large providers running VMware Cloud Foundation and delivering dedicated private cloud or shared cloud model services. They wanted to see how can they go parallel. So if you are a CSP and thinking of, hey, I want to go VCF, what are the advantages? This is advantage number 4 or 5, which is key. Performing upgrade parallel, performing various day two operations parallel brings you more efficiency in the environment. So you don't need to worry about, customer A is performing upgrade today, so I have to perform upgrade for customer B. Now you can go parallel. Or you want to add some more hosts in the inventory because my ZDC manager is currently performing an upgrade. I have to wait. No, you can do it parallel. You can commission, decommission hosts parallel. So that's a nice value prop for a provider as well. That hey, you can have minimum VCF instances in your environment, but you can have multiple customers that you can consume this infrastructure and data operations. You don't need to really worry about it.
Nice. When we talk VMware Cloud Foundation 5.0, so we definitely have parallelization of upgrade. Are there other things that make the interesting list for with regard to the release?
Absolutely. What we said that when I'm creating a workload domain, it will join the same single sign-on domain, SSO domain of a vCenter server, typically vSphere.local or customer.whatever, right? Which was created as a part of Bringer process. So my workload domain did not have an ability to define its own SSO domain. With 5.0 onwards, uh, we have an ability to really create an isolated workload domain, right? What does it do? I think it's 5.1. What does it do? I'm creating a workload domain for a customer A. So I can say that creating a workload domain, do you want to join the existing workload domain of management or do you want to create a new SSO domain? So at that time, I will say customer A dot local or customer B dot local, and it will create me a separate SSO domain for my customer one, two, three, four,
Hmm.
five, like that, right? That gives me clarity and multi-tenancy out of the box that my workloads are running with a separate SSO domains,
Nice.
right?
Yeah. Right. Right. Right.
Also, when we are doing this, we are breaking enhanced link mode feature that was used in the past. Enhanced link mode had its own maximums number of vCenter server that it can support. Now, since we are breaking ELM, we can go up to 25 workload domains and up to 1,000 hosts per VCF
Per dome.
instance,
How many did you
right?
say? So 1,000 VCF instances, but how many?
1,000 hosts per
All
VCF
right.
instance.
Right. Right. 1,000 hosts. How many VCF instances? 25.
You can have 25 workload domains
Okay.
supporting overall aggregated 1,000 hosts with one VCF instance. That's a very good scalability that any large customer or provider can think of to scale. It was
Right.
not scalable earlier, now we can scale.
Awesome. Nice. Nice. So how long you mentioned 5.1, how long has 5.0 been out?
5.0 was released, I think, about 6 months ago. I don't have the exact dates, but yeah. Typically, the the cadence is we will ship major release every 6 months rather than 3 months, and that this is going to be across all the products, so that we have that engineering cohesiveness when we are
Right.
shipping VCF 5.1 or 5.2 with more features in it.
And everything lines up, tested, delivered, uh, very clean.
Exactly.
When how do people get educated and how do they make the choice to move to VCF, right? Like what's the typical journey for an IT administrator who, is considering VMware Cloud Foundation? Do you do HOLs? Do you have your SE come give you a presentation? What are the best ways to start getting your feet wet here?
Absolutely. I think, talk to your account team, get your ACs in touch, and AC should be able to demo it, or otherwise bring in the right PU resources to really demonstrate, do a POC. There are a lot of collateral available, hands-on labs available. If you go onto our website, you will see it a lot. And it's a self-help. You can learn it by
All right.
yourself.
Right.
There is also a toolkit available that you can download, which has a way to do a nested ESXi for a home lab. So if you have one large ESXi host, you can do
Mhm.
an NSX nested and deploy, one or two workload domains just to get the understanding of how it really works.
Nice. Nice. Okay. That makes sense. Okay. Good to hear that. Licensing wise, everybody talks about price and will they price me out of the space. I know you're actually getting VCF, which contains obviously vSphere, NSX, and storage. Whether you're using that or not, I'm assuming that you're paying for all three. How do we license that? Is it by what is it? What does it buy? What's the
Yeah,
typical
yeah.
licensing model?
So I think moving forward, it is very clear. It's going to be single SKU VCF, and we will be, selling it at per core. Again, we are
Or core?
ruling
Okay, right.
into the subscription-based model. If you are a provider, cloud service provider, you are already in that model, but your structure will move into the per core based pricing. Uh, I would not want to comment more than what I
No,
just said,
just
but
per core. Yeah, that's what I was
talk to
looking for.
your account team. They will get you more details on uh, what else that is required for your business to run. But yeah, we are moving into the core based model with some minimum commitment for number of years.
Now, I can't have this podcast with at least asking, where do you sit with regards to Broadcom? Is Broadcom impacting VCF, and are you all rolled into now a business division? Why don't we talk a little bit about like VMware Cloud Foundation going forward in the Broadcom ecosystem?
Yeah, I think we are now a part of VCF division. So there are what four divisions that were announced. One is Tanzu, one is Edge, and we are VCF division. And this
Yeah, so
the
Tanzu, Edge, and Security and VCF, right? So
correct.
VCF is the name of the division that has everything underneath it, right? So if people,
Exactly. So we have, uh, of course, vSphere. We used to be a core hypervisor team, as well as vCenter, vSAN, VCF team, as well as ARIA suite of products brought into it, NSX platform brought into it. So it's all one large team as a VCF division. Becomes more easier to collaborate and have more cohesive engineering cadence, and left hand knows what right hand is doing and right hand knows what left hand is doing under one big umbrella, so it's all
yeah,
good.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic because it also is one VP that's running the division that, ultimately has to take responsibility for, how all this interplays, how all of it goes to market, that it is easy, that it does save time on day two operations, right? That in fact there is a single point of somebody who cares, right?
Exactly.
And yeah, I like that idea. And then everybody's come together. Did they actually move everybody into one big building yet? And we're going to name the building like the VCF building or something like that. I feel like we've done that for corporate marketing. I'm wondering if you guys have started to align yourselves with everybody, to work together.
I think that may happen as well. Sure, I think there is a value being on site, on campus, on a lot of way you collaborate with your colleagues. You have those hallway conversations, and on a Zoom or something, you have a limited amount of time. So I think it's all good. So as and when we see more and more people back to the campus, you will see some people being teams being consolidated in some buildings for sure, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and that helps just because hallway conversations across the three products right now, we'll solve some of those integration issues, right? We'll solve those because everybody's in the same space and it's all one division now.
Yeah, and I think one more key thing, which is a big buzz in the market, we also announced it. VMware Explore in US as well as in Barcelona last month. It's all about private AI or generative AI. So we used to have a team under Office of CTO called X Labs, now
Right.
also rolled into the VCF team, right?
I wondered
So
where some of those people went. I didn't
yeah,
know. I know that the office CTO is, yeah, I don't even know if they even exist anymore. There's like a handful of people now. Not, it was 400 some. Now I think it's less than whatever. I don't even know the number, but I know that, a lot of this stuff happened. And glad you brought that up because we actually host the flings now on the community platform. So communities.vmware.com has a
okay.
fling tab on it, and all the flings have been published by Adam Esker, I don't know how to say his last
Yeah,
name. Adam and William Lamb also got together and published all the flings there. So it's cool that some of that CTO functionality is now moved under the VCF division as
yeah.
well.
So just to add on onto that AI buzz, right? So
Right.
uh, VMware Foundation or VMware Private AI Foundation is powered by VCF, right? So if you
Sure.
are embarking and thinking of VCF, and if you are also hearing your customer could be your own business folks, or maybe if you're a provider, you want to build AI as a service, the platform is based and powered by VCF. So
Right.
definitely,
Yeah.
you must have heard about, uh, you know, what work that we are doing with NVIDIA on
Right.
private AI space. We announced with Intel and IBM on Watson X, right? So that's a part of my current role to do the innovation of new things, and that's how I was working with X Labs team and their CTO as well. They all are part of same division. Becomes more easier. It becomes more like part of the big family to drive these innovations with the providers. So
Right.
that's key thing for your AI ML ops and your AI journey. VCF is step number 0 or step number 1. So
Yeah.
definitely I would strongly recommend start looking into VCF now than later.
Yeah, I was at Explore Europe, and they had a booth, and they had the AIML reference stack there, right? And the guy was like, "Well, it's basically VCF there," and then some secret sauce that obviously the NVIDIA has their core library for building LLMs. I guess I don't know I'm out on the edge of what I understand about this, but there is libraries that support their AI ML language that we support, but VCF is kind of the main foundation. And I have heard that that's like a lot of big enterprises are coming back saying, hey, we want to bring workloads. We want to place those workloads on prem. VCF is the way to do it. And it is, it is talking about our history of the company. I've heard comments like, "Hey, we see more enterprise interest now in on-prem VCF or on-prem our stack local because of AML work, AI ML workloads, being targeted on-prem versus completely on the cloud, and maybe they have a mix of that, but it is going to be an important market for VMware and for our IT practitioners who need to learn how to run AI ML workloads efficiently and securely, right? So
Yeah, yeah,
that's cool.
Can I share my screen for a minute to show something to the audience?
Well,
Or
we're on a podcast, so you really got to describe it, because
okay,
even though we're live streaming over on YouTube, the 3 or 4 thousand people that download us per week are doing it on iTunes and Google Play, and they're just listening on their commute.
sure, sure. So I
So
think what I can say, I'll just put in the chat. If you see it, that's good. But go to the blogs.vmware.com and search for cloud provider blogs. I have recently released a blog on what you can achieve with VMware Private AI with IBM Watson X, and also I have included a demo there as well. So if you see that, if you have any questions, reach out to me. But we are getting more and more into the other as well. You will hear about NVIDIA NeMo with VCF and Intel with VCF, and a few others will pop up. So we want to give you as a customer, you as a provider, an ability to pick and choose or choice of yours from these typical vendors where uh, the choice is yours. We are just delivering these various solutions to you one after another.
yeah, and so to check out the blog article, which again we always invite guests that have great blog articles. This is part of the how we find our guests. If you've got a trending blog article, we'll find you on Talkwalker, and then we'll invite you on the podcast. But if you want to be on the podcast, you can also just send Julia or myself mail to get on the podcast. We'd love to talk to the community. His blog, or the blog Girish is talking about, is blogs.vmware.com /cloud provider /2023. So 2023 07/07/ and then the title is Unlocking Scalability and Efficiency VMware Cloud Foundation 5.0 for VMware Cloud Service Provider.html. You'll go Google that, but go to the cloud provider blog, blogs.vmware.com /cloud provider, and you can look for that great blog that has been trending. I published it on the V Barbecue comments for this podcast, so you can go there and click on it, or you can just rewind and listen to what we said again and go find that blog. Girish, are you the author of that blog?
Absolutely, yes. I'm the
Yeah.
author. I can
All
go
right.
as
So,
much as deep as
yeah.
you want, and if you
Right.
need something,
No,
let me know.
no problem. But also, you can go just to blogs.vmware.com
Yeah.
and go in the search and search for Girish, Girish, and his blog article will come up in the list of blog articles. That's another great way to find it. So,
To make it easier to
good on
remember
that.
my name, what I say, you know how to spell Irish? Put G before that. That's my name,
Oh, Irish with a G in front of it. Girish. Yep.
Girish. Yeah.
Perfect. Last 10 minutes of the show, because we've been streaming for 47 minutes, and we'd like to always ask our guests, like, what excites you coming up in 2024 that you think is going to be interesting? You've talked about AI ML workloads. For me, that would be probably the thing that would excite me. But was just wondering, what excites you, or share with the community what, got any good books or got a good tech that you think you're going to enjoy coming into next year?
I think you mentioned about the books, which has been on my radar for last more than 17 years. I did initially contribute to VMware Cloud Director book, version number
Ah,
2 or 3.
right, right.
I did not. I was not an author, but I was one of the contributor and reviewer of it. Uh, Coming next year, I think you will see some reference architectures coming out, focusing on AI ML with this solution that we talked about,
Oh,
and we will
nice.
go deep and wide. Also, part of the role now is all about building various solutions. So we want to make sure that we have a way to provide prescribed solutions to all the communities, all customers. Could be an enterprise customer, could be a cloud provider. It's a solution. For example, um, load balancer as a service. What do I do? How do I do it? All the details, right? You will get to work with few of my peers to go deep. and bring that service to a life and deliver it to your business. If you want to talk about SAP as a service, VCF as a service, right? All those services are being talked about. We are working with it. We want to make sure that we also expand ourselves, working with all these technology partners like SAP and so on and so forth to really develop, deliver these solutions that you can consume easily and quickly, right? We want to eliminate complexity from your perspective. It's all about time to market, and we will try our best to provide you this solution. May not be 100% to your requirement, but even if it is 80%, even if it is 60%, you are saving that much time to bring that service offerings to your customers.
Right. Yep. Right. So a book is in the works, right? Or some documentation. Well, we're going to
Yep.
watch out for that. The
Yep.
other thing that I would say is we're going to have to get you out to some VMUG user cons and have you do a presentation there, right? And do some talks out on VMUG because I think you've got some good points. And I'm going to have you come back on and talk about the AI ML platform. We'll do a deep dive into what that looks like, what's coming from NVIDIA, what are you working on, what are we working on, when you can talk about it, right? Like, because I
Yep.
think, we talk about the reference architecture being VCF, but I think there's a lot of other stuff that's going to kind of come out next year. So that should be fun, right?
Absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely.
last thing on the show we like to talk about is obviously you blog. Do you blog on the cloud provider? Where do you blog in
Yeah,
the
so
cloud?
that's where we normally blog under cloud provider or CSP, or block space that we have.
All right, good.
Um,
Did you do a talk at VMware or VMware Explorer last year? Did you were there talks on this?
yeah, so I think I did in Barcelona a few of the talks at V Brown Bag sessions.
Okay,
Actually, you
right.
may find it
All
on
right.
YouTube, and
Yeah.
also Tech Exchange. That was another IBM conference, which was an internal conference, but I was invited as a guest speaker. So we did talk about it as well, what we were working on, and also US Explore event. I was speaker as well, so I was presenting. So yep.
All right, great. So you can go to check that out and look for the live streams online to see his talks there. Are you on Twitter or X? I should call it now.
I am on Twitter, but I'm not that active on Twitter.
You're not that active. What is your
Yeah.
Twitter handle anyway? Go look it up
Uh,
while I'm talking, because I know you don't have it right with you, but maybe it's at G Manmadka. Manmadka. No.
no, it is. Um, I think you can search for real hybrid cloud.
All right, there you go. Real hybrid cloud. That's going to be you, or you'll find Girish. G with an Irish in front of it. Awesome. We always like to get the community a way to connect, so like, follow more people, get connected with the people that are doing stuff and doing the talks, give them their feedback, right? And,
Mhm.
talk to them. I don't think we allow comments on the cloud provider blog, so you really can't do that. So the best way to give them your feedback is to show up in front of his house and have a banner that says, I listened to you on this podcast and I listened all the way to the end. Right. So that's
Mhm.
my
Mhm.
advice. At the end of the podcast, we usually shout out to your Twitter handle and where you can get blogs. And then we ask you, because we stream on V Barbecue, so youtube.com/V Barbecue, you can go take a look at podcast uh, Unlocking Scalability and Efficiency. It's there. Question for you: what kind of barbecue do you like to do? I think you're on campus here, so you must live in Northern California. And if you do you ever get outside and barbecue? And if so, what do you like to barbecue?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think you bring on any type of vegetables and typical Indian uh, food items that typically are cooked really well, but barbecue is another flavor. And definitely charcoal barbecue is thing that you have different taste, different smell. We all love
Right.
it. So me and my family and my friends, we do it more often than you can think of, being in Northern California.
Yeah, I know that generally when we're doing our podcast, we got uh, Tony on the call. He's not here today, but normally he loves to barbecue the vegetables, right? He, every time he talks about a barbecue, he's doing asparagus or he's doing cabbage or he's doing weird stuff, right? Sometimes he just does crazy off the cuff stuff of things that you don't realize you can barbecue. So,
Yeah.
vegetables is your thing. Charcoal, Kingsford or other charcoal is the way you like to go. I'm a big Kingsford charcoal fan myself, right? Because you get that nice
Hmm.
smoky flavor, and that's awesome. That's awesome. So you are in the Bay Area, then I take it. Where do you hail from?
Oh yeah, I'm in the Bay Area, very very close to Palo Alto on the East Bay. So
Nice,
across
nice,
the bridge. So yeah, very very close. Like I think commute time is not an issue, and I love to be on the campus, being within the community with the people, and of course I think I'm up
nice.
for your VMUG offer. You just let me
All right.
know.
So the big question is, have you had lunch yet?
No, I think I'll go now.
Yeah. Where do you eat? Do you eat at the Hilltop or do you do the one down at
Hilltop,
the
hilltop. Yeah,
Hilltop? Well, I'm gonna walk over to Hilltop. So if you're around, come, look me up. I'm
absolutely.
gonna walk over there in 5 minutes and get myself some lunch. And
Uh-huh.
thanks for the barbecue report. Thanks for spending an hour of your day with us talking about VCF Foundation 5.0, 5.1. Great to have you working as hard as you do, making it happen. And we'll have you back to talk about AI and ML. Thanks a lot, man.
Uh-huh. Thank you.
Recording paused.
Okay. Should I just leave? Sign out?